Hey all, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to continue learning about the standard form, and specifically, we're going to look into how do we graph an equation that's written in standard form. Let's go ahead and let's get started. So here we have the instructions that say sketch the graph of each equation. Well, we're only going to look at one for right now. And it says 2x minus 4y equals 8. And here we have a graph ready for us to use. So we're going to use the same tips that we used last time to find the x and y intercepts. So this is how essentially we graph an equation. We find the x-intercept, we're going to find the y-intercept, we're going to plot those 2 points, and we're going to connect them with a line. So let's go ahead and let's first start off with the x-intercept. Okay, so my x-intercept. I'm going to go ahead and plug in 0 for my y value when I'm solving for my x-intercept. Again, we sort of discussed that in the last video. We go ahead and we replace the y with 0, and then we solve for x to find this intercept. So that'll leave me with 2x minus 0 equals 8, which is just the same as 2x equals 8. And then all I have to do here is divide by whatever's in front of x. In this case, that's 2. And I get x equals 4. So let's go ahead and let's find 4 on the x-axis. It's right here. I'm going to go ahead and put a red dot there. And now I just need one more point, which is going to be my y-intercept. So let's go ahead. Let's find our y-intercept. I'm abbreviating. Now we just need to plug in 0 for the x value. Oh, I just plugged in x. So 0. And we're going to do minus 4y equals 8. Here I have 0 minus 4y equals 8. That's the same as negative 4y equals 8. I can then divide by negative 4 on both sides. And I get y equals 8 divided by negative 4 is just negative 2. Okay, and now what I can do is I can go ahead and graph negative 2 on the y-axis. Okay, because that's my y-intercept. And now it's just about connecting these 2 points. And I'll have my graph. So I can go ahead and draw a line through these 2 points. I'm going to draw it in green. And that's how we graph an equation from standard form. So first thing, find your intercepts, graph those intercepts, and then you draw a line through it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at kind of a cool problem in where we're going to have multiple graphs and we have to match them to their equations. So here I have graph A, B, C, and D. Okay. So the key is, again, to find the x and y intercept and then to find which graph matches each line. Alright, so that's typically what I do for a problem like this. I just look to see which graph has the intercepts that I'm looking for. So first I would look at this problem and I would say, okay, this equation right here. What I would do is, if I try to find for its intercepts, 4x plus 4y equals negative 8. So 4x plus 4y equals negative 8. What we're going to do is if we were to plug in 0 for the y, we would get 4x equals negative 8. And if we were to plug in 0 for the x, we would get 4y equals negative 8. I could divide by 4 on both sides for each one. And I get x equals negative 2, y equals negative 2. So this first equation up here has both its x and y intercept be negative 2. So I'm looking for which line goes through negative 2 on the y-axis and the x-axis. I can see that the blue and the purple line both go through negative 2 on the x-axis, but I can also see that only one of them goes through negative 2 on the y-axis. So that means that this line right here, this equation, belongs to line D. Voila. Okay, and now we sort of do the same thing for the other ones. I can go ahead and do it for 3x minus 2y equals negative 6. And I would be left here, if I plugged in 0 for y, I would have 3x equals negative 6. If I plug in 0 for x, I would be left with negative 2y equals negative 6. In this one, I can divide it by 3, divided by 3. On the other equation, I can divide it by 2, divided by 2. Here, I would get x equals negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. Negative 6 divided by 2, negative 2, is a positive 3. So now I'm looking for the line that essentially has an x-intercept of negative 2 and a y-intercept of 3, which we actually already knew that blue had an x-intercept of negative 2. And if I check, it also has a y-intercept of 3. So I know that this equation has to be the blue line, which is A. And essentially, I just have to figure out one more, because then I can use the process of elimination to find the last one. So for the last one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write it right here. We're going to do x plus 2y equals 2. And again, plug in 0 for this guy right here, for this y, you get x equals 2. And then if you plug in 0 for the x, you get 2y equals 2. And this problem directly, just by plugging in 0, I find out that my x-intercept is 2. Let's find out what our y-intercept is. So what I can do here is I can go ahead and I can divide by 2, and I get y equals 1. So now I'm looking for a graph that has an x-intercept of 2 and a y-intercept of 1. So x-intercept of 2, y-intercept of 1, that looks like line C. Okay, 2 and 1. So let's go ahead. Now we know that this line is line C, and by process of elimination, we know that this line has to be line B. There we have it. We learned how to graph an equation in standard form, and we learned how to match an equation in standard form to its graph. So hopefully now you feel like you have the skills necessary in order to graph an equation that's written in standard form. Again, the key part of doing this is understanding how to find your x and y intercept, and pretty much understanding that the x-intercept, that's the number that goes on the x-axis. Once you find that, put a dot right on that x-intercept. So if it's 2, find 2 on the x-axis, okay? Same thing goes for the y-intercept. That one's going to go on the y-axis, that vertical line, okay? So as long as you understand that, you can plot those 2 points, you connect those 2 points, and you have a beautiful straight line. So as always, just want to thank you for watching. I hope you continue to learn through these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.